If you think of France, you probably have fromage or cheese, Eiffel Tower and baguette in mind. Exceptionally for you and only for you, we're going to see how to make baguette from scratch. So you start by combining 300 grams of cold filtered water with 500 grams of organic flour. So very small tip here, it's always to pour the water before the flour. So far you're doing very good. Once it's done, you will have to cover this and let it sit for an hour. Well, not everyone has sourdough at home, so what you could do is ask your baker and they will sell you some. This is where this very typical French sour taste from every baguette you're going to buy comes from. That's a secret. So you just need to add sourdough, salt and yeast. Just make sure you're not putting the salt and the yeast together. Otherwise, the yeast is not going to work properly. So if you are using sourdough, you will find out it's quite splashy, so I would recommend to place a cloth on top of your mixer. So next step now is to add eau de bassinage. That means about 20 milliliters of water. That's going to bring a bit more hydration to the dough and guarantee you an open crumb. Once the 3 minutes are over, the dough will be around the hook and you're going to just rest it for another hour. After an hour, you're just going to give it one spin. That's it. And that's it, your dough is ready. You just have to transfer it to a large bowl. Job is done. I hope you have a lot of patience because now you need to leave the dough sitting in the fridge on its own for a night. You had a great night's sleep, the dough had a great night's sleep too. Look at this, it tripled. That's amazing. Just dust with a bit of rice flour. That's going to avoid bringing more gluten into the dough. And you just transfer it to your work surface. And now what you're going to do, you're going to press gently to remove all the gas accumulated during this cold fermentation. So now the part coming here, it's not going to suit everyone. You will have to be very precise. Imagine coming into a bakery and each baguette will have a different height. That doesn't work like this. Be precise. And bear in mind that each gram counts. So you might have to remove, you might have to add until you reach the desired grammage. So now come the pre-shaping part. So pre-shaping will be actually allowing to create tension on the outside of the dough. You start by pulling a corner away from you and you bring it in the center by pressing with your opposite hand. And you repeat. So you will see here that the seam is up. You just have to flip the bowl to put the seam down on the work surface. Using the palm of your hand, you're just going to create a ball that's going to create even more tension on the dough. If you would decide to do bread roll, you can just stop there. Job is done. But we're making baguettes. You need to flatten this dough. So once you've done all this, you're just going to let the dough rest for another 30 minutes. This is called benching in French. In the meantime, you can prepare your baking parchment paper. So you just cut about 20 centimeters by 5, and that's going to allow you to transfer the dough from the work surface to the cloth and then to the baking tray. Very convenient. So talking about cloth, In France, they call it a couche. It's made of a thick material that's going to allow the dough to be kept in shape while proving. Not having one, you probably don't have one either, we're just going to use a simple linen cloth. Don't be surprised if your dough is sticky. So you take one bowl, put it upside down, dip it in a little bit of rice flour, and you're going to start folding it. So folding a baguette, it's simply pressing down, and you're going to fold the first top 1/3, press it again, fold the other 1/3, and then the last one. And that's it. Using both hands, you can just roll it, and then it's going to bring you the beautiful shape of the expected baguette. Let's do it again slowly. Looking at it, I realize I could have done a much better job, but you will see this dough, it's quite sticky and not necessarily easy to handle. So just do not worry, it's going to still look great at the end, as long as you keep the seam down. That's the secret. So you know what, there is this little guy remaining of 36 grams. You're not going to waste this. Yes, he deserved to be shaped as a baguette too. I'm sure you won't be surprised at that stage that I'm going to ask you to let the dough rest for another hour. Start your oven at 250 degrees and then you clean your work surface using a dough scraper. Prepare a baking tray. You can use a baguette tray or just a normal baking tray. Prepare your rice flour, some water spray and a blade for scoring. Can you believe that since yesterday you've been waiting for that moment? You're transferring your baguette-shaped dough into the baking tray. Your oven is hot. You're going to spray some water on top. That's going to give you this shininess of the crust. And you're going to dust some rice flour to give it this authentic look. It's really a personal choice. I love baguette that looks authentic. It's just a plus. And then using your razor blade, you're just going to score the top of the dough. So this might get stuck. So you just have to be very quick and do like small cuts. Don't try to spend too much time on each cut. Chuck, chuck, chuck. Chuck, 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 chuck. And so on. So you might be interested to know what's happening inside the oven. So the starches are going to gelatinize. The sugars are going to caramelize and the proteins are going to coagulate. So I'm par-baking those baguettes for 11 minutes. If you want to cook them longer and cook them through to be ready for your meal right away, I would cook it for 18-20 minutes. Now, one of the first mistakes you do as soon as the bread comes out of the oven is you just want to open it. Don't be patient again. You've been patient already so much. Don't ruin it last minute. You know why? Because you still have a lot of moisture inside your bread and you want, by cooling it down, allow this moisture to just evaporate. So now what we're going to do is we're doing another type of baguette exactly the same way by spraying water, but I didn't dust any flour on it. This is why you have a bit more bare look. So it's ready to show you the two differences. It's really a personal preference here. I prefer the authentic look with the flour that really looks almost like a bakery. Once it's cooled down, put it in a Ziploc bag. You need a baguette, you just take it out of the freezer, place it into the oven, cold oven, 225 degrees for about 11 to 15 minutes, depending on how golden you want the bread to be. And that's it, you can eat. So as you can see here, the dough is aerated. That's why you have a lot of tiny bubbles. You can serve it with butter or simply with a soup. It's really up to you, or even a chocolate hazelnut spread. I really encourage you to try this recipe. It's just amazing. It doesn't mean you're not going to go back to a bakery again, but you can definitely give it a try and eat your own baguette. Thank you. Bye.